Well, don't you remember when you were young? Think back to when you were a student. What was life like? What kind of technology were you using? What clothes were you wearing? What did your day-to-day life look like? I remember when I was in high school and in university, it didn't really matter what you wore because it was prior to the days of social media where back then you could wear the same outfit to every party for a whole year and no one would care. Now, people care if they've worn that outfit because it's already on Instagram, so they need to sell it on eBay and get another one. Think about how much has changed in such a short time. When I was at high school, our maths teacher would say things to us like, "You need to learn how to do this without a calculator because you will not be carrying one around in your back pocket everywhere you go." Who was told something like that? And now who carries a calculator with you everywhere you go? When I was researching Gen Z, Generation Z, the young people born between 1995 and 2009 for this book that I wrote, one of the girls called Jasmine, born in the year 1999, said to me, "Claire, we don't understand the point of memorizing anything. Like, why would we memorize it when we can just look it up?" You see, even from Gen Y, my age group, to Gen Z, we've seen the ubiquity of the internet and the smart devices that have so much right at their fingertips. For this generation, their smartphone, their iPhone, is basically an extension of their limb. You think back, though, just to the mid-90s when we started using the internet. It was the time where you needed to unplug the one and only phone line in the whole house, so that you could dial up. This generation only know a world of Wi-Fi. It was when the internet looked like this, do you remember? And I can guarantee your patience was a lot greater than it is today. We're in an era of such short attention spans, and I know if my computer is buffering for a few seconds, I don't want to waste those few seconds, so I quickly open another tab. Back then, not very long ago, this used to happen and it would not bother us. Ready? Estimated time left? Just 39 years. You would just leave the room, go and make a cup of tea, come back. Oh, only 18 years left to open this document. It was the year 2000 where the way that we started communicating really changed quite dramatically. It was the year of the Nokia 3310. Who had one of those? Anybody still using it? What was your favorite feature of that phone? Snake. You think how this changed the way that we now work, the way that we relate to each other. The world of work now is no longer defined by geographic proximities. We can be anywhere, anytime. And the mobile phone started to change the way that happened. There are 5 generations in our workplace at the moment. You've got your builders generation, born about 1945 and before, mostly retired. Then we have our baby boomers, born 1946 to 1964. Do we have any builders or baby boomers here today at Trendship? Have we got some? Yes, welcome. What about some Generation X, born 1965 to 1979? Have we got some Gen Xers? Oh, hello, Gen X. You're everywhere. Okay, what about Gen Y, also called millennials, born 1980 to 1994? Have we got some Gen Ys also filling the room? And do we have any of our Gen Zs born 1995 to 2009? Yes! Hello, Generation Z. Great to have you here as we talk about you. You can tell me what I got wrong later on. But Gen Z, although we think, they're just young today, they already make up about 1 in 10 in our workforce, and they will be about 3 in 10 by 2025. So they're a generation we need to get to know. How do we attract them? How do we engage them? How do we retain them as our employees and our customers? Okay, take 20 seconds and talk to somebody next to you about technology you remember using when you started working. What technology? Was it the fax machine? Was it something before that? What technology do you remember using when you started working? Talk to somebody around you. Okay, fantastic. I'll get you to all come back together. Okay. I know we could talk about that all day. Maybe a few people here towards the front where I can hear you. What were you discussing? Who wants to just throw out any technology you remember using? Someone? Yeah. The fax machine. Yeah, and the old, on when it had the whole roll of paper, typewriter. Who remembers using the typewriter? Yes? You got one for me? Oh, I can't hear you. It's amazing to think about how much has changed and how much we've adapted to. And Generation Z have been born in a time of rapid technological change and immersion. And because of the speed, the accelerated speed of the technological change, they expect the world of work, the way that we work, to continue to change very quickly. And I found as I spoke to these Gen Zs, when they think about work, they really fear becoming irrelevant. They don't want to be stuck in an organization that is doing things how things were done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because they instantly feel like they are going to be left behind. They love being a part of an organization where they're trying new things, where they're making meaning, like we just heard, where they are innovating. Whilst Gen Z and those coming after them who are called Generation Alpha will know lots about technology. They've been called digital natives because they're so native to their technology as opposed to digital immigrants. They've been called digital linguists because they speak the language of technology, often as their first language. But there's some things they won't know, like the unique relationship between these two items. But as Generation Z are entering the workforce, the expectations they bring have also shifted. Like I said, they're going to expect change. In fact, it's estimated that they will have approximately 17 jobs across 5 different careers in their lifetime. This is why it can be harder to attract them and keep them. I mean, their idea of a long-term commitment is a 2-year phone plan. And so sticking with a job for longer periods of time is harder for this generation. But when I ask them, what will matter to you in your career? What do you think work will be like? What I heard over and over again was, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I don't really mind what I'm going to do, as long as it's something I enjoy. They're a generation who've grown up with so many options, so much stimulation, so much variety that they really place a high value on enjoyment. This is what Jack said. He says, something I'll enjoy doing, not something I'm forced to do. I feel like I'll stay with something I like. Another strong motivator for this generation was that they want to make a difference in the world. They do want to make meaning. They do want to see change in the world. They're very globally connected. They're the most globally connected and informed generation to grace the planet. And this is what Jamie said. I would like to think I could get a job that could make a difference somehow. So if we can understand that this is a starting point of motivation for Gen Z, if we can help and how we talk about our organization, in the culture that we create in our organization, that it's one where there is vision and purpose, one where there is innovation and where we're trying new things, and where they're able to be part of it, even if they're young, even if it's early in their career. But how do we engage this generation who do approach work differently? A couple of characteristics to remember. One is that they are natural collaborators. Think about it. Their idea of an encyclopedia is one they themselves can change and contribute to. How different is that to the encyclopedia you grew up with? Encyclopedia Britannica, or what it might, or Collins Encyclopedia, these ones that would take over shelves in the library. But one of the other big differences is not just that one is printed and one is digital, but it's who's writing it. You see, Gen Z have grown up where they are not just consumers of the content, but increasingly the co-creators and collaborators of the content. So when they come into your workplace and they don't have a voice because they're young or they're new or whatever it might be, and they're just in the corner, got to get the tasks done, that is a very foreign environment for a Gen Z who's used to having a voice from a very young age. On social media platforms, on blogs, on review sites, on creating content on YouTube, even contributing to the global encyclopedia. And so if we can create an environment where they can collaborate, that will feel very engaging for them, and also a place where they will give you some great ideas and help make them happen. When I ask them, how do you go about learning? If you want to find something out, and this is whether they're at home, at school, studying or working, oh, you just Google it. Others said you ask Siri. In fact, I found that Siri has become the new homework companion. Young Generation Zs sit there doing their homework and ask Siri for the answer. They ask Siri to define the word and then they just write it down. Others said that they would watch a YouTube video, which is a way that in this era of information overload, we can retain and recall information more easily because it's in visual form. But did you know that there are 300 hours of YouTube videos uploaded every single minute? And so it is harder and harder to get cut through and also keep people's attention. This is what Matt said. I Google it. Maybe read the first couple of links that Google gives me. I never go past the first page of Google, though. That's about it. Everything moves such a fast pace now, and they're used to that. This meme was made for Matt. You now know you're desperate for an answer when you look at the second page of Google. They are collaborating from the moment they wake up with many, but they reach over to turn off their smartphone alarm, and before they're out of bed, they've checked their streaks on Snapchat, Instagram notifications, Facebook memes, replied to texts on Messenger, all before they're out of bed. And obviously, they use these platforms not only in their social life, but they use this as a way of life. And so they will want to network and work with one another when to find solutions in the workplace as well. But there's a host of unwritten rules about how to use each platform. And I've also found that having Gen Zs on our team, because they've been so immersed into this world of social media, they can help us know all the unwritten rules about how do we engage with our audience, how do we connect with our community, how do we use these platforms in the right way, because they're always changing. For example, did you know this about texting? There are texting rules. You cannot send a sentence with a full stop at the end because you look mad. Or K dot for okay because you look angry, like I'm done with you. A dot is like, don't talk to me, I got my point across, but I don't want to reply because I dotted you. Did you know that? Simple punctuation and grammar to one generation means something totally different to another. One of the acronyms they've made up is IRL. It means in real life, which makes me wonder about the other life, perhaps compared to virtual life. But we found a study done by Pally showed that 50% of Gen Z said they rather talk online than in real life. 60% say their social life starts online. And 70% say it's more convenient to talk online. Here in the Netherlands, 29% of those aged 18 to 24 say they are addicted to social media. And you can see that that's far higher than the older groups of people. In the last 2 years that this has been measured, we've seen an increase of the time that the 18 to 24-year-olds are using on social media. Of those who use it here in the Netherlands, we now have 28.5% saying they spend 5 to 10 hours a day on social media. It's what one researcher has termed continuous partial attention. It's now this thing, we've got so much distraction going on, so many things vying for our attention that we're not really ever focused on one thing for an extended period of time. It's like we are never fully engaged with one thing because we're trying to follow everything. I want to see how we go at this. I'm going to put up a word on the screen. I don't want you to tell me the word, I want you to tell me the color that the word is written in, okay? So what is the color? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. What is the color? Green. Okay, are you ready? We're going to do a whole row of them. Are you ready? Okay. And what's the color? Blue. Yeah, well done. It's when our minds have got a few things going on at once. That's the complexity that we've created now with so much of this technology vying for our attention, and it's created shorter attention spans because of the constant attentional shifts that we've got. We might be working on something, then our phone beeps, and then someone calls and something texts. There's constant attentional shifts, meaning for this generation, they do find it harder to focus for long periods of time on the one thing. What do we do with that in the workplace? I think it's a bit of both. I think we want to help them to create longer attention spans, but also realize we need to give them variety in their job role and give them a sense of ownership over when they can choose to do a task for a little while and switch to a different task, because that's the world they've known. 18 to 24-year-olds, they say if they are not able to check messages, of 1/5 of those in the Netherlands say they become restless if they can't check their messages. We've got about 1/3 saying they are afraid they miss out on things if they can't check it. And we've got 36.5% saying they find it unpleasant if they can't go online. And so again, it is a challenge when it comes to engaging them in the workplace. How do we do it? Another term is absence presence that a researcher has used. I think this is so interesting because it talks about how we can be physically present in a conversation, but emotionally absent. Because I'm wondering what just happened on my phone. I'm wondering if I've got more likes on Instagram. I'm wondering if someone has replied to me. And again, a challenge that we've got. We have many saying that this impact of social media on sleep, 40% say it has a negative impact on sleep, but it does have a positive impact in being able to keep connected with family and friends. Okay, a little activity for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. For this, you need to find someone around you, someone next to you or behind you. And when I say 1, you look at them and you put your left palm out like this, okay? When I say 2, you put your pointer finger on your right hand to the ceiling, like this. On 3, your finger goes in their palm and their finger goes in your palm, okay? It will look like this, okay? But it will be your finger in their palm and their finger in your palm. And when I say 4, but not until then, you want to get your finger out, but you've got to catch their finger, okay? So on 4, you've got to get your finger out, but catch their finger. Okay, find a friend, and we'll do it 3 times. Okay, ready? Okay, 1, left palm out. 2, pointer finger to the ceiling. 3, your finger is in their palm and their finger is in your palm. 4. Okay, 2 more rounds. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, final round. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So in that very quick, simple activity, I just want to point out that there was a lot of laughter in the room. There was a lot of engagement in the room in just that quick little activity. And in an era where digital might be default, and in an era where social media and networks and technology have enabled us to collaborate broadly, and we want to leverage the opportunities that gives us in business and so forth. Gen Z, like other generations, are also looking for real face-to-face engagement. They want to collaborate in an environment where they can bounce ideas off one another, where, as you know, innovation often happens when it's collaborative, when someone has one idea, someone sees another opportunity connected to that, and you work together. And this is about creating a workplace culture where, yes, there's flexibility, and it doesn't mean everyone has to be at the office 9 till 5 on the seats, but there are still opportunities to really create an environment where people can collaborate face to face. And what digital can provide is amazing and brilliant, and it's an exciting time to use technology to collaborate and innovate, but I think it will never replace what face-to-face collaboration and communication can do as well. And so it's how do we use both of those worlds. This is what Matt said: a collaborative space is better because our generation collaborate as part of who we are, always networked, always connected to each other. He's talking about the collaborative space in a workplace, a place that facilitates that kind of connection and collaboration. And when you think about your leadership styles, rather than thinking about how a lot of organizations in the past have been built with positional, transactional, hierarchical styles of leadership that are very top-down, rather than that, the leadership styles that the younger generations best respond to are collaborative. It's where they're connected with one another. It's where anyone's ideas are valued, whether you've been there for 2 days or 2 decades, that you can have a voice, that you can contribute. And if you can do that, if you can create a culture of collaborative innovation, people will be so much more engaged. They will want to build the best organization they can be a part of because you're bringing the best out of them, not just their head turning up to the work, but their heart and their passion as well. You might have noticed that this generation have spent so much time communicating so quickly in using technology and online that they have created a whole new language. And I want to see how you go at speaking Gen Z. I'm going to put a few words up and give you a short period of time to work out with your friends, your colleagues, if you can work out what do you think these mean, okay? There's lit, TBT, SEBS, TBH, HBU, IDC, ILI, IRL, RN, salty, throwing shade, POS. I promise you there is no swearing. See if you can work out any of these words with your friends, and then we'll go through them together. Okay, let's do this together, okay? What do you think lit is? Good, it's really cool, really awesome. Okay, so if you're a lit boss, that's what you want to be. TBT, Throwback Thursday. It's where you post something on Instagram on a Thursday that is from another time. So you throw back to when you were on holidays, or you throw back to something before and you post it on a Thursday. SEBS, can't even be bothered. TBH, to be honest. HBU, how about you? Even though about starts with an A, I think that went out the door with full stops. IDC, I don't care. ILI, I love you. But they said it's not like romantic love. It's just how you end a text, like illy. And then they said, then there's love ya and then love you. So there's stages. IRL, good in real life. What about RN? Right now. Anyone feeling salty? It's when you're in a bad mood, a bit cranky, feeling salty. Maybe someone has been throwing shade. Do you know what that is? When someone's slack bagging you out, they're throwing shade. And here's one for you. What do you think POS might be? No, it's not point of sale. This one is parent over shoulder. So a good one to know if you have a Gen Z at home. However, I have noticed that if you start using the Gen Z's words to the Gen Z, it does not work. So just let them have their language and maybe you now understand a few more of their words. Not only are they natural collaborators, they're lifelong learners. They're the most formally educated generation we have ever seen, but they'll also need to learn transferable skills constantly on the go because the nature of work has changed so rapidly and will continue to. You think about how much disruption we've seen and what is ahead. We don't exactly know, but continual change will be. Remember when the CD disrupted the music industry, wiping out the needs for LPs and cassette tapes? And then it was disrupted by Spotify. Think about how robots will continue to change and automate certain jobs. Some jobs that we used to do are now replaced by technology, like now at some restaurants you order the food on an iPad. But new jobs are being created by technology as well, like remote surgery, where you have surgeons in one country operating real-time on a patient in another country. Amazing. And what I love about that photo is they're still dressed up in their scrubs. You think about how an innovation and technology like 3D printing will be able to transform a lot of different areas, one being here being able to print the prosthesis by the patient's bedside. Artificial intelligence, where machines can emulate human thought patterns, will impact a lot of sectors. For example, the legal sector, all sorts, because they will be able to start thinking. So this means that the skills that our Gen Zs will need for the future of work will need to continue to adapt and change. It won't just be about a certain skill set they can pick up at university. They'll need to be lifelong learners. They'll need to have critical thinking skills, be adaptive, and that's what they'll be looking for to learn in your organisation. They're also starting their careers in a time of ageing and a population growth, but also ageing here in the Netherlands. So your population 3 decades ago looks like this. This was your somewhat pyramid of population. Today it looks like this, so you can see that baby boom generation is reaching retirement. But in 3 decades' time, it will look like this. And so you have a growing, but you have an aging population, which means as Gen Z enter their careers, there'll be greater demands for productivity from the labour force to support the needs of a growing and aging population. Hence why innovation in our teams, innovation in our businesses is critical. How can we do things in a more clever way? How can we do more with less? Which will be important in supporting the needs of an ever-increasing aging population. Finally, they'll expect to customize their careers. They don't have just one job for life kind of mentality. They're growing up in the gig economy where they can have multiple gigs, multiple jobs at once, different revenue streams. They're growing up where they have experience on demand. So if they want to watch Netflix, they watch it when they want it. With the share economy changing the way that people are collaborating, but also how they're able to earn money. Whether it be they've started a business on the side, they're studying, and if the business isn't making enough money this week, I heard one young person say, I'll just drive Ubers this week. And so there's lower barriers to entry for businesses and for opportunities now, and this is the world where then they expect to be able to do flexi working anywhere, anytime. But with all these changes, there have been some challenges. As one of them said to me, as many of them actually said to me, we've got short attention spans. This is how Oliver put it. I think our attention span is extremely short, and anything that catches our eye distracts us with so much stuff going on. I think it might be a bit difficult when we get jobs. Oliver, I think you might be onto something. But I have found in the research and in the time I've spent with Gen Z, they are also incredibly innovative, entrepreneurial, not afraid to leave the way things have been done in the past and try new things. They are enthusiastic, they are willing contributors and natural collaborators, and I really believe in creating an organisational culture that places value on every generation, whatever age, whatever background. We can build strong multi-generational teams and get the best out of this generation, so they're not like this guy who couldn't be bothered moving the sticks to paint the side of the road. Thank you so much.